Hi. Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Diaspora Horse. My name is Zintle Ngema. Feel free to call me Z while you practice. And yeah, episode 2, what's up? This is a talk space dedicated and committed to disrupting and destroying the diaspora wars and prompting the Black, African, and Caribbean diaspora to engage with each other from, as Walter Rodney said, a revolutionary, socialist, and people centered perspective. Hey, welcome back. I am so excited about how the first episode went. I was so nervous. I just put it out. I just put it out. Well, I did plan, but after I put it out, I didn't look at any of the pages for like a day. But as of today, 8 people have downloaded the episode on Apple Podcasts. So shout out. And 50 people have watched it on YouTube. And I'm honestly ecstatic because I was nervous that, I'm not even going to speak more power into them because they don't exist anymore. Okay. Uranus is in Gemini. We're here. We're here. So, hey, it has been a crazy last few weeks. Actually very relevant to today's guest. Today's guest is an African designer, a Congolese designer, an amazing woman, and growing into a friend. And she speaks to me about experiencing xenophobia and afrophobia living in the US as an African. And there has been a lot of an uprising, an uptick in xenophobic, afrophobic attacks, specifically in South Africa over the last few weeks. I'm filming this at the beginning of May. And it has been heartbreaking. It's been infuriating. I've been covering the marches and protests in South Africa through work, but I haven't really shared. I mean, I guess I was reporting through my own perspective and through my own ideology, but I have other thoughts, and the whole reason I created this podcast was so that I could share them. So this is what I think. I've been having a really interesting experience. I don't even know where to begin. I guess I could start with how I've realized that I was very naive. As much as, so South Africa gained freedom 32 years ago. South Africa had our first democratically elected president, Nelson Mandela, in 1994. We had our first Black majority government, and they made a lot of promises, and they haven't fulfilled any of them, not enough of them, to actually be able to see a difference. And don't get me wrong, I know that there are pockets within South Africa where change has come, but for the majority, like I explained in the first episode, I have always been aware of the fact that the majority of Black South Africans do not have a good quality of life. And I guess I was naive in not understanding. I mean, I did know that it was the government's fault. I mean, I lived through the Zuma presidency. I lived through the Guptas. I lived through Mbeki having to, step down. I understood big picture. But I mean, our current president, we call him Cupcake, for crying out loud. We call him Cupcake. And I'm like, well, how can how could a bad person be named Cupcake? That doesn't make sense. But he was a billionaire businessman before he became our president, And even not just specifically him, within the party, there are people who have their own agendas. There are people who, time and time again, they have been Black people within Black movements who are there to derail us. There are people who are there to just feed off of the movement in a way that is actually harmful towards the movement. So I don't know. I just grew up thinking South Africans were, and yes, I know that South Africans can be xenophobic towards Zimbabweans, and I saw instances of that. And I know that I think in 2008 or 2009, a bunch of Nigerians were killed in South Africa, but I always saw those or believed that those were isolated incidents. And so now seeing this massive wave, and I know it's not all South Africans, I know it's not even the majority of South Africans, but it's enough South Africans who are out on the streets protesting against other Africans. And it's been a struggle because I see both sides. On the South African front, there were promises made by the government after we became free. There were promises that we would have our basic, fees must fall. The protests that happened in South Africa maybe a decade ago at this point were about promises that were made and not delivered. The government said that education would be not only affordable, but at one point free. And instead, they went and raised the fees. They went and they made it more expensive to be educated in South Africa. How does that make sense? You know, there have been so many little points throughout our history in the last 32 years that have shown that our current government does not have the interest of South Africans in mind. They don't. And it's just really the experience of being sad and knowing that my home country is kind of like every other country. It was just really like shaking me up a little bit. I understand that desperate people do desperate things, and I understand that, you know, going back to capitalism, the big daddy C, in order for capitalism to make sense, in order for capitalism to work, you have to have the haves and the have-nots. And the haves have to believe that they are better than the have-nots, and the have-nots need to understand that the other have-nots are their competition to become a have. You know what I'm saying? I understand that it is a lot easier to look at the person who is next door to you, who is not from the country that you are from and that you are in, and the country that you maybe have invested more in and that you fought for and that you have committed yourself to. You said you're never going to leave. And so now other people from other countries have access to more than you do. I understand that you would immediately look at that person and say, well, you're taking something away from me. But my question is, do you believe that African migrants and African immigrants are outsmarting the South African government? When you say, oh, well, they're taking jobs, who's giving them jobs? Oh, well, they are given licenses to run shops. Who's giving them the licenses? You know what I mean? We're not looking at the organizations or the companies that are instead choosing to hire and pay an African immigrant 10 Rand an hour because they have no other choice, because they're there based on survival, as opposed to a South African who would demand more for themselves. Rightfully so, rightfully so. But do you see what I mean? And I know, yes, there are individuals and maybe even organized criminal you know, people and organizations who are of African descent and who are doing terrible things in South Africa. But this is giving like the men are trash thing. Like all men, I thought we weren't allowed to say all men. You know, and the leader of March for March, or March to March, I think I got it wrong earlier, she came out with a video saying that her family was personally involved in a Nigerian scam. And so she's probably coming towards this from a place of being bitter. And that is so human. And I'm happy that she was able to reconcile and acknowledge that. But now what's next? It also makes me really sad because my parents were abusive, and I was able to forgive them because I was able to see that, you know, they say hurt people, you know, you cannot be a whole, healed, happy, fulfilled person and believe that going out to abuse and physically violate other people is going to make you feel better or is going to make your situation better in any way. And so I just feel so sad that there are South Africans who are having the experience of, I'm so desperate to have my needs met that I'm going to take from someone on my level instead of understanding that it's actually a top-down situation. And, you know, I was saying lack is man-made. Like, if you think about it, babes, me breathing in and breathing out happens because there's an abundance of oxygen. You know, we make more food than we consume. And yet there are parts of the world where people eat once a week. You know what I mean? Like, capitalism needs lack in order to make sense. And so if I'm told that there are 100 spots and only 5 of those spots are allocated to Black people, it's been ingrained in me to believe that if one other Black person has one of those 5 spots, that's a spot that I don't have. Not, well, why are there only 100 spots? Or why are there only 5 within that 100 designated to Black people? No, we're not taught to question that. We're taught to question and to see each other as enemies because there's only so much space. And so anyone who occupies that space is taking something away from me. I do not believe that you can call yourself a successful government. I don't think you can call yourself a successful company, a successful anything, if you are not able to meet the most basic needs of your constituents, of your employees, of the people who you govern over. It just doesn't make any sense. What are you successful at? I mean, New York City is the richest city in the world. The greatest city in the world. The greatest city in the world. Work, work, Angelica. Sorry. Eliza. Okay, I'm done. And Peggy. Okay. It's the richest city in the world, and yet you have shit on the streets. It's the richest city in the world, and yet you have food deserts in Brownsville and in the Bronx. It's the richest city in the world, and yet there are New Yorkers who don't have a bed to sleep in. It's the richest city in the world, and yet people can't afford them to meet their most basic needs. So it's just, yeah, another aspect of it that, and please let me know if you agree with me on this, because I just be thinking sometimes, but it would be nice to know if I'm just like thinking in nonsense. But something that I speak to in this episode with Kahindo, who's our guest today, she spoke about experiencing afrophobia when she moved from Africa to the US. I don't know if you know Toni Braxton. She has a show with her sisters, Tony, Tracy, Tool, Wonder, Trina, Tamar, and Missy. Is that it? Tony, Tracy, Tool, Wonder, Trina, Tamar, and Missy will, And my former roommates and I, hi ladies, we were watching the show. And in one of the first 2 seasons, I think, they had this private fitness instructor, personal trainer. Whoa. They had a personal trainer who was, I think, from Cameroon. And Tracy, RIP queen, but Tracy was calling him an African booty scratcher. And that was the first time I'd heard someone say that in real life. I think I'd heard that on Boondocks. I think I'd seen it as like a funny thing online, but I'd never actually heard someone say that out loud. And that was so jarring to me. Even when people were calling Tyler an uppity African, we've revered Beyonce and Rihanna for being confident Black women, and yet when we're referring to her as an uppity African, and that was always so confusing. And also when Tina Turner passed away, R.I.P. Queen, and again, not speaking down on you, but I remember seeing a video where she was like, "Oh well, Africans are lazy; they live off the land." Where do you get your food from? What does it mean? Africans are lazy because they live off the land. What has lab-grown food ever given to you? But it's the way we're meant to see each other. It's why we have diaspora wars, because, and this is the point I was going to make, and then we're going to go to the episode. So just hang on. Again, because there are only so many spots for Black people. We see in South Africa as each other's competition. In the US, Black people see each other as their competition. God forbid a Black person from a country that I've been taught to look down at, is now added into the mix. God forbid. I feel like we're taught to look down on, I mentioned how South Africans used to, or probably still do, refer to South Africa as the Europe of Africa. What is that supposed to do to you mentally? What is the rest of Africa then? Everyone outside of South Africa is not the Europe of Africa, so we're better than them. And so now if you're telling me a Nigerian or an Ethiopian is coming to South Africa and they are either equal to or more educated than me, are more skilled, have more to, maybe provide, now you're telling me that these people who I look down on are my competition, or not even my competition, they're better than me? That doesn't make any sense. And I feel like that is the same experience with Black Americans. They're taught that, I know that within the US they don't feel American, but they know they're American when it comes to the rest of the world, based on the way they speak to us and based on the way they regard us. And so I feel like Black Americans will look down on Africans and on maybe people from the Caribbean, because the global North has been taught that we're idiots, we're booty scratchers, we have bushmeat tendencies and all these crazy things. And so when you see that that's not the reality, it's frightening. It's frightening to know that we've been lied to, that we've been got, and that, again, now there's more competition because I'm already competing for the 3 spaces that have been made available for us. So again, diaspora wars, it's all by design. We have been made to see each other as each other's competition. We've been made to see each other as less than. And when we're then faced with dealing with each other, our initial reaction is, oh, wait, hold on a second, uppity African, who the hell do you think you are? And it's like, I'm a girl. What do you mean? I don't know if any of that makes sense, but that's how I feel. That's what I think. That's what I've been thinking. And I feel like it's getting proven. So yeah. Woo! With that being said, today's guest is a gorgeous woman, a gorgeous Congolese designer, fashion designer, businesswoman, artist, sister, friend, baddie, Kahindo Mateene. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm so I adore you. So okay.
Same.
For the people,
Yes.
who are you? Where are you from? And what do you do?
So my name is Kahindo Mateene, and I'm the founder and designer of my namesake brand, which is a special occasion wear fashion brand that is inspired by my Congolese heritage, African upbringing. So I grew up in like 5 different African countries, and we are a social impact. We have a social impact mission, which is creating sustainable jobs for women on the African continent who stitch and make all of our pieces in order to pay them fair living wages and create sustainable jobs for them. And yeah, I'm based here in New York. And what else? I'm Congolese. Yeah.
Okay. Wait, so 5 African countries.
Yes.
Where'd you grow up?
So I was born in Uganda.
Okay.
And then I went to school in Kenya. So I went to all girls boarding school in Kenya for like 10 years. And in between, we lived in Ethiopia, Nigeria, and Niger.
Wow.
Yes.
So did you spend a lot of time in the DRC?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So we only went to Congo like for Christmas and for like long summer holidays. But most of the time we were like in different countries.
What did your parents do?
So my father was a diplomat and he
Right,
worked for African Union. Back then,
Oh.
Yes. So that's why we jumped around a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So what was that experience like, being Congolese but
Yes.
living in so many different areas?
You know, I loved it because even though we lived in different countries, we really had a base, which, I mean, for me, it was me and my older brother, was Kenya, because we went to literally the same school for 10 years, which was incredible. Kids from all over. So I was surrounded and went to school with kids from Nigeria, Tanzania, South Africa, so it was I was exposed to a lot of diversity, going to school. But then on top of that, a lot of diversity in like Ethiopia.
Right.
My younger sister used to speak, Mimi, you've met Mimi,
Yeah.
used to speak Amharic like fluently because she went to school there.
Yeah.
So she was the only one who kind of went to school whenever my dad moved. The rest of us were in boarding school in Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Do you consider Kenya home?
I do, and I have a lot of Kenyan friends, and they're like, yeah, you're Kenyan, So I'm like, okay, fine.
If you want me.
If you want me, accept me, So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when did you move to New York?
So I moved to New York, actually it's going to be 11 years when did I move here? July. So yeah, and then before that I was in Chicago for 15 years.
Oh, okay. Yes. You moved from Chicago from the continent?
No, kind of. So I moved to the US for college. So I went to school in a tiny, tiny college in Southern Illinois.
Okay.
Yeah, called Blackburn College. So basically, yes, because I actually flew into Chicago from Niger, which was the last place my dad was stationed at before he retired and moved back to Congo.
Okay. Oh, so they're back in Congo now.
So my parents both passed, but
I'm so sorry to hear.
thank you. But yeah, when he retired, moved back to Congo with my younger sister. So she then finished high school in Congo.
Okay.
So she's really the only one who's ever really lived in Congo.
Do you go back?
I do. But it's been a while. I'm just planning on going back in August.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're from the east of Congo, from Goma. I'm sure you.
Right. Yeah.
So since '94, I haven't been back to Goma. which is crazy. But I've been to Kinshasa several times. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. We'll put a pin in that because I would actually love to talk to you about that. But did you want to move to the US? Was that your family's guidance?
Yes, it was my family's guidance. My father actually had studied here in the 60s at UCLA. So, and he was like, back then, a lot of Africans who studied in the US went back,
Right.
But yeah, that was kind of the path that we all took. My older three brothers came for college, and I came for that was always the path. Yeah, and then it was always for me. I wanted to move back, and then when my dad passed, it was hard to do that. So I ended up staying. Here. I know.
Okay. Did you study anything related to fashion?
No, because as an immigrant from an African family,
you have to be serious.
Exactly, and a diplomat's daughter he was a linguist as well, like fashion. And even for me, fashion was not a thought that I could actually a profession that I could pursue.
Right.
Because back home, like they're tailors, but you don't see fashion designers, at least back then.
Yeah.
Right? So I studied international business and economics.
Hello, running an international business.
Exactly.
Hello.
Right. So that's what I studied for undergrad. Then I went back to school and got another bachelor's in fashion design years later.
Okay.
Yes.
So what kind of examples did you see of style, of designing and stuff? Where did that come from?
I think it was always kind of innately in me. I'm Congolese. Everyone knows Congolese. We have a fashion sense.
Hello.
The whole sapeur movement.
Yes.
Right? So it's kind of like just in me. But then my parents, especially my mom back in the day, was super fashionable, right? I mean, my room has like just pictures of her in like from the 60s, and she was just Miss Fashionista, right? Just wearing colorful pieces and even kind of modernizing it, not taking like the traditional, top and like wrap skirt, like making it her own. So I think I get a lot from that. And then just being exposed to Congolese fashion, like every Christmas we would go back home and we would go to the market, pick fabric, go to the tailor, get pieces made, and then go to my dad's village. So that was always a tradition, right? Just picking fabrics and getting them tailored. So, and I tell people this now and they're like, oh my God, that's like couture. And it kind of is, right? But I didn't even think of it. And then my mom was like a seamstress as well. So there was a Singer sewing machine and she just loved fashion. So there was like Spiegel catalogs at home. So I was always kind of surrounded by it and like the colors and, the fabrics. And then different countries. In Ethiopia, they had like that white fabric that they used. Like in Niger, it was more like the boubous and everything. So every country, I think, truly inspired me in some way, shape, or form.
Do you remember the first article of clothing that you designed?
Yes, I do. And it's so interesting because so for school, we wore a uniform. It was a horrible green uniform.
My uniform was green too.
Really?
And we
wore
wore
pinafore hats.
Brown shoes.
Oh my God.
Anyway.
Yeah, ours was like army green and it was horrible. So for like 9 years of my life, I had to wear this uniform. But then when we went to Form 5, we got to design our own uniform.
Oh.
So we got a fabric that we all wore, but then you could do whatever you wanted.
Oh, that's cool.
So that was kind of the first time that I was like, oh my God. So of course I went to the tailor and I did, but it also still had to be.
Right. Respect. Right.
Exactly. But, I remember designing like a jacket and like some pants with like pleats on them and like a pleated skirt. So that was kind of, now that I'm even talking about it, that was my first foray into design.
And did that feel like, oh,
yes,
this is, wow.
Yes, because I loved the process because I could, like put my design, what I wanted into something that I could wear. So that was cool. And then I remember we didn't have a prom, but kind of, we also got to design, like I got to design my prom dress, which interestingly enough was black. I was like, why am I designing in black? But yeah, it was this cute black dress, so which I got to design. So, so I was kind of, I had it in the back of my mind that I actually loved doing this. Yeah.
How many years were there between graduating with international business and economics and then going back for fashion?
It was, let me see. So I graduated my first undergrad in 99. And then I want to say I went back to school in 2005.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that decision?
So I was working at a tool manufacturing company as a marketing analyst. And I hated it.
Oh.
Yes, and then I got fired because I hated it.
Right.
But then I was also like devastated. I was like, because I've never been fired before. I called my brother. I was like, I don't know what to do. He's like, but you've been talking about this fashion thing. Why don't you try and, check it out? I was like, you're right. So I enrolled in fashion design school and did 2 years and literally launched my first brand like in 2009.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And fashion.
Yes.
Going back to growing up on the continent, in different countries, what were your experiences like? When was the first time you realized you were Black?
That's the thing. Like growing up in Africa, I didn't know. I knew, right? But I didn't. That word Black was never really a term that described who I was, right? I was a Munyanga, which is my tribe. I was Congolese, which everyone in school knows, that Congolese girl, right? Because there weren't a lot of Congolese because we're French speaking, right? And people are like, why are you in this English, British boarding school? So I didn't really know. It was like always your tribe or your country, right? Especially in school, like where your country is from, where you're from. So I never really, this Black thing, really, I discovered it when I came to America, right? Because back home, since we're all Black.
Everyone looks like me.
Exactly. Right. Everyone looks the same. So even though my school was diverse, so there were a lot of like Arabs, Indians, but even them, they were Indian or Arab, but we were all
brown.
We were never considered Black per se.
Okay. Yeah. So you didn't experience racism or being othered?
Yes. Being
in the environment you were in?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And then what was it like moving here to the US?
That's when I realized I was Black. And I swear for the longest time, and all of like me and maybe 8 friends moved from, high school and then came to the US around the same time. Okay. And I remember, having to select like your race. And there was Black, and then there was like Asian, and and I always used to cross out Black and put African or put Congolese. Because that's how I was always. That's who I was. I wasn't Black, and then I went to this very white school in Southern Illinois, right. And interestingly enough, like it wasn't diverse, but there were a lot of African Americans there. Okay. And that's from them. That's when I discovered, oh, girl, you're Black.
Right.
And I was like, what?
What's that?
I don't understand, And they thought that I was being like bougie, right? Because they saw me who looked like them, but then I spoke different. I ate different. I went to a British boarding school. Right. So I was very proper. Yeah. I even till today, people say I enunciate my words, so they thought that I was trying to be better than them. And I was like, no. This is me. So that's when I realized, in America, I'm Black.
Yes. And you better.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Yes.
Did you have African American friends?
No, which is also crazy because I think because they thought that I was trying to be better than them. They didn't accept me for who I was. And the people who did accept me, interesting enough, were white people,
Right.
because they were so curious and asked me all these, I mean, sometimes they're stupid questions, right? But they were still curious. Like,
Right.
how come you speak like that? Like, where did you learn English? Those
Right,
kind
right,
of
right,
stupid
right, right,
questions.
right, right.
But so I ended up having a lot of international friends from like India, Pakistan, and
Yeah.
stuff, and then a lot of white friends in college.
That's
Yes.
interesting. Wow. When I moved here in 2019, I was 22. So I'd already kind of understood
Right.
Black American culture, but I'd heard things about like African booty scratcher
Oh
and
my
all these
God.
crazy things that
Ex-
Black people were calling us,
Us,
other Black people, or saying like,
exactly.
oh, you're like bushmeat and like crazy
And
things.
that is what kind of maybe drew me to like, whites and international, because I was getting a lot of that from the people who look like me, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't understand this. Why are you guys not accepting me for who I
Right.
am?
If
And
we are Black, then like, aren't I?
exactly.
But honestly, I always grew up thinking all Black people were my people. But moving
Exactly.
here, I've learned that that is
Quickly,
not the
it's not the
case.
case.
And it's so strange. But okay.
Yeah.
All right. When you went to design school, were
Yes.
you still one of the only few Black people or?
No, so that's when I started. Actually, that's when I got a lot of African American friends,
Okay.
and because I don't know why. I mean, maybe because we weren't even in my undergrad, we weren't a lot of Black people, but I think it was just different, and I then got a lot of African American friends. Yeah, so it was good to be like, accepted by my fellow Black people. So.
And
Yeah.
did you find community? Were there people there who helped you
Yes.
launch your brand?
I did fight in community, but it was in Chicago where I had a lot of Kenyan friends.
Okay.
And I think they're the ones who really helped me launch my brand, because I remember going back to Congo and getting pieces made before I launched my brand and wearing and designing them, right? With traditional, I mean, I don't even know, African print. We call it kitenge.
Kitenge.
Yeah. To maputa. Maputa is actually the Congolese word. Kitenge
Oh,
is.
Maputo is a city in Mozambique.
Yes, and
That's
this is
interesting.
Maputa with an
Maputa.
A. Maputa. Yeah.
Wow.
I
We're all
know. We're all
connected.
we're all connected. So yeah, so I designed some pieces and then I wore it something to a wedding, and my friends were like, "Oh my God, you need to launch your brand like ASAP." And that is kind of what motivated me to just literally, after I finished school, I had a fashion show with those pieces. My friends were models, and we like did a fashion show in a club. Like, it was just so crazy how like I just kind of did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I started my first brand.
Wow. Okay. And so
Yes.
what has the experience been like growing it, now moving to New York?
Yes.
Is the brand you have now different to what you
It
initially?
is. It
Okay.
is. Yes.
So how was that experience? And then also on the continent,
Yes.
how have you tried to go into business there? What has that been like?
Yeah, so my journey has been it's been challenging, I'm not even gonna lie. And the reason I moved to New York from Chicago is because I just felt, when things get comfortable, and I was like, I need to take my brand to the next level.
Right.
And then I was on Project Runway.
Yes.
And I got eliminated.
She was on Project Runway. Did you? Thank you.
Yeah. And I got eliminated, and it was shot here in New York.
Okay.
And I was devastated when I got eliminated, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this as motivation and fuel to like really take me out of this comfort zone that I'm in Chicago. So that was also another motivator to move to New York. But I was using like the traditional wax print, which from Vlisco, I don't know if you've heard of Vlisco. They're a huge textile company that is known for African print, but they're based in Holland.
All right.
So the fabric is called Hollandais wax.
Okay.
And there's a lot of controversy with this company because back in the day, a lot of it, especially in Congo, we had a huge textile like industry
Right.
making traditional prints. This company came in and kind of wiped it out because now people are like, oh, this Hollandaise wax is better than the Congolese one. So it basically wiped out the
Wow, I did not
Congolese
know that.
textile industry, and everyone is like Hollandaise wax, Hollandaise wax. So it's a huge company that has been around for like 100 something years, doing this wax print that's African, and they have now stores in like a lot of the francophone countries. So if you go to Gabon, Cote
So wait, I'm so
d'Ivoire,
sorry. One second. One second. Africans were making this print and this
yes,
fabric.
yes,
This Dutch company said, "Oh, we're gonna make it on a bigger scale, and
exactly.
then now we're gonna go back into Africa and sell your product back to you."
Exactly.
Okay, just wanted to
Exactly.
make sure.
Yes.
Cool.
And it happened during like when the Dutch were trading, and there's some kind of trade act that happened
Yeah,
back in
yeah,
the
yeah.
day. So that was like the influx of this Hollandaise wax. And then because even that print is not even African
Right.
per se, right? Because it came from Indonesia originally, and through trade it came through Africa. Then we made it our own.
Is this the Dutch East India something?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. The Dutch
Okay.
East. So they brought it through it. They took it from Indonesia, brought it to Africa, and then it became our own. And then we started making it, and then they came and then
Took it back.
Took it back essentially.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
So moving to New York, there was
Yes.
more access to.
Yes, I think there was just, I wanted to take my brand to the next level, and I was using this Dutch wax, and another brand used the same one, the same print, the same design, and people were like, "Is this yours? Is this yours?" I was like, "No, that's not mine." So I knew I wanted to do a couple of different things with my new brand. First the move to New York, because I wanted to, New York is the fashion capital. So I was
Right.
like, if I'm gonna make it anywhere, Jay-Z said,
Yes.
I'm gonna make it in New York. So that was initially the reason of me moving. But then I'd made a couple of things in Congo and in Kenya,
Okay.
and I really wanted to pursue that, to like create jobs for women, because I'd been working at a company called Marketplace Handwork of India in Chicago, and they were working with artisans in India. And I was just like, I love this model of like helping women, creating jobs, paying them fair living wages. So that was always in the back of my mind. So I really wanted to pursue that. And then I wanted to design my own prints. So those were like the three main reasons for moving to New York, and then kind of rebranding from my last brand, which was called Modernique,
Modernique. Okay.
to Kahindo, what it is today.
Wow. So, what is it like working between two continents? What is it like working with people where are the women that you work with? Are they in Congo or are they across?
Yeah, so I've worked with women in Congo, in Nigeria, in Morocco, South Africa, with one of each, and
Oh, yes.
yeah, and then currently we're working in Kenya.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's been a challenge. Everyone's always like, why do you like produce in Africa when you can? Because I used to produce in China,
Right.
And I used to produce in the US. But when I got this new social impact mission and started really, seeing the impact that I was making, I was like, this has to be it. And honestly, since I moved to this new mission, like my brand has grown, and it could be because I'm doing a good thing.
Oh, many things can be true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, so that's why I really wanted to stay with the social impact mission. However, working and I don't go there a lot, right? Which I know is a big part of the reason I have so many challenges. But it's been very challenging, even just shipping fabric, shipping things. It's so expensive because fashion it's fast, right? So it's not like I can ship things by boat, right?
Right,
It's
right.
like it needs to get there ASAP. So like shipping is like the costliest
Really?
thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm using DHL.
Right.
So shipping has been crazy. But even it's crazy like within the continent, like doing trade across borders.
Ridiculous.
It's so challenging. And I'm just like, come on, people. Come on, governments, African governments. We need to do better. Just like I remember I shipped fabric, I think it was from like Kenya to Congo. And it got stuck in customs for like a month and a half. Like, I was just like, are you kidding me? One time I was doing a fashion show in South Africa and shipped my goods to South Africa. It got stuck in customs. Like, so I'm just like, but here I am. I'm trying to do business. I'm trying to create jobs, So it's been challenging, but the reward is I'm making an impact. It might be small. Maybe I think I've worked with, I would say maybe 100 artisans.
That's amazing, Kahindo.
Thank you. In like 9 years or 10 years, because my previous brand, and it's small, but it's an impact, right? It's like women seeing my pieces either on the runway, the artisans that I'm working with, and they're just like, I made that.
Yeah.
And it's now on the runway in New York, so it makes me feel good that even through all these challenges that, I'm trying to make an impact and take African craftsmanship to the world, and showcase that luxury goods can be made on the African continent. And
absolutely.
It can compete with the best of the best, so yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, it's growing.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I think that, like you said, when you were growing up, you didn't see examples of fashion being a real job, and now you're giving that back to women on the continent.
Exactly.
Because you're teaching them skills. I'm sure they're watching, and that's something that they can do for themselves. That's something they can teach to their community. That's really, really amazing.
And it's, the impact is huge, right? Because I'm from Congo, a very patriarchal society, right? I remember my dad, he invested in us to go to the best schools, boarding school, and all of that. And like people would tell him, why are you wasting money sending your girls to school? Why don't you just marry them off and get the dowry? And, but he didn't believe in that. He believed like, he was educated, thank God. And he was like the first feminist I knew. Wow. And he was like, if I'm going to educate my boys, my girls are going to have the same opportunities, right? And a lot of countries and cultures, they just don't invest in their girls because of that mentality. So me being able to work with a woman, who is like the sole provider, and she doesn't have to rely on her family to support her kids, and now she can send her girls to school because she has a job. That's like a huge impact, and it makes me just feel so good because I'm passing on like what my father ingrained in me, right, to like other women. So
yes. Yeah. Oh, wow. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
And so happy that you're making it intentional.
Yes.
Intentionally African.
Exactly.
And also giving back in a lot of ways.
Yes.
What has it been like running a business here in the US?
It's also been everything's just challenging. In the US, I think, because I'm Black, right?
Because now we know.
Right. Right. They just aren't the same opportunities, right? I mean, there's so many, and I've had amazing opportunities, right? But it's always kind of, we need money we need access, we need money, right? In order to run businesses. And we just don't get it, right? And
funding.
Exactly. We need funding. We need access to, to like customers. That's what we need. In order, like, we need money to do marketing. Because without marketing, you cannot sell a product. So a lot of times we either cannot get funding from like traditional bank loans because of one thing or the other. We don't come from generational wealth, right? So I'm not coming from a my dad can just give me like all this money to start a business. So that's very challenging. And then we get into these spaces where we're the only ones, right? And a lot of times we're then made an example, right? So like we're the token, I'm the token black owner, black fashion designer, whatever. So it's been challenging, you know, and it's so sad to say, because I started Kahindo in 2017. Yes.
Wow, almost 10 years.
Almost, I know.
Baby.
Oh my God. Yeah, February 6, 2017, I started Kahindo in New York City. That's when I registered my company. And in 2020 is when I started seeing growth.
Okay.
And what happened in 2020?
The pandemic.
Exactly. And George Floyd.
Yeah.
And all of these businesses realizing that, we don't have diversity. You know, like, you know, I was in retail. I was, you know, selling to retailers, and I was one of 5 black fashion brands. And I'm like, how is that possible? I know so many black fashion designers who own brands, you know, so how can I be the only one of 5, you know? So that time is when I got, like, my business really became successful. And it was because of these initiatives that these stores had and that they were implementing. But, you know, it was a fad, short term.
Really?
Yes, because 3 years on, they don't care, right?
Right.
We've
moved on.
Exactly.
Black lives,
they don't matter that much.
Ish, I guess. They used to, but now we've moved on.
Exactly.
Wow.
So that impacted my business. And like the past 3 years, it has really hit my bottom line, right? I lost a lot of the retailers that carried my brand, you know.
What were the reasons they were giving you?
So, I mean, if I'm to be honest, some of the reasons were because I had some sizing issues, right? Some production issues. Because I went from numbered sizing, which is like 2, 4, 6, 8, to lettered sizing. So in that transition, I made a mistake. Okay. I'm going to own it. Right. I made a mistake and everything was running small.
Okay.
So I had a sizing issue. But another thing was my sell-through, which it needs to hit a certain number, wasn't great. So when they purchase wholesale and you're not selling, you know, and I'll come back to the reason why, they're not gonna keep you there because you're a new brand. They don't really know you, so they've taken a chance, and you're not selling through. So, but in order to sell through, people don't realize this. You need to market yourself, even with these big stores, right?
They need to put you in positions to be seen.
Exactly.
And to succeed.
Exactly.
That's why you're there, not just to be one of the racks.
Exactly. And that's what happened. And then it's been such a great learning experience because I didn't know that in order to succeed on wherever, I mean, Run the Runway is different, but Anthropologie or Shop-Op, you need to pay for marketing. And when I say pay for marketing, everyone gets those emails from like, you know, Nordstrom, the emails featuring the brands and designers, and it showcases all of these different, you know, styles from different designers. That is paid. For one email, it costs maybe $5,000. Exactly. To be featured on the drop down, it costs another $5,000. As a small brand,
that's not realistic.
Exactly.
That's like, you can do that, once a year, and then it just falls.
Exactly. So that's, you know, you see DVF and all of these other brands, they have crazy money.
Right.
They have marketing dollars behind them. So they can do that every day.
Every day.
And that's why they're constantly, you know, also like without that support, we're going to fail because no one is seeing us, because those stores have how many? Over 100 brands, and no one knows Kahindo, right? So the only time I'm really featured is when I come out with a new collection, which means I have to
constantly pushing things out.
Exactly.
Which is also not sustainable or good
for the environment.
Right.
Exactly. So it's kind of like it's just you're not really set up for success because you want to be in these spaces, right?
It's Saks, it's
Exactly.
Nordstrom, it's all these big
It's
names.
Bloomingdale's.
Right.
It's amazing. But getting in, you'll realize, first of all, you don't know, like what you don't know.
Right.
And then by the time you're finding out, it's too late. They're
Right.
like, oh, you didn't sell through.
Because you were meant to do this, this, and this, but we didn't tell you.
Hello. So so it was a combination of different things, and so I lost like most of my wholesale accounts. Rent the Runway, Anthropology, Shopbop, Newly, but yeah, I'm working now to start building it back.
Because now you know more.
Exactly.
Now you know more.
Exactly.
What about being an African brand within the Black brand space?
Oh my gosh, that's a whole other, like, that's another challenging thing because they think, let me tell you a story. So I once pitched to a major retailer before I started getting into them. And they were like, yeah, thank you, but we actually have another African brand.
Oh.
I was like, what?
We already have one.
Yes. And so I go on their site and I do research and I see this other African brand is Nigerian. And I'm like, first of all, like you have Giorgio Armani, do you say
how much of Europe?
Hello. And do you say, oh, we already have one Italian fashion brand. So I was like, we're not even, and looking at the brand, we're not even remotely the same. We don't have the same, but they just, again, that's, putting all Africa as a country thing. And I was like, what is wrong with you? Even in Nigeria, there are so many brands that are completely different. So even if I was a Nigerian brand, I would have a different aesthetic, a different point of view, a different style. So that I get a lot of that, right? And then like my pieces are not traditional, especially now with with Kahindo, it's like not traditional African.
Right, exactly.
Right? So, which sometimes Africans are like, when I first started my last brand, I used to use a lot of traditional prints. And I thought my customer would be my fellow Africans, right? And what I got was, we can go back home and make that.
Why would I buy it from you?
Exactly. When can I make it cheaper? So I was like devastated because I was like,
I'm making
it for you, for us, but so I got over that. I was like, okay, I'm not going to limit who, I sell to.
Right.
And which made it more, I guess I expanded my target market, and white women loved it, and for the longest time, I mean, they just loved the colors, the cuts, the prints, and I guess they didn't have that, I'll go back to Africa and make it, get my tailor to make it.
Yes.
They just loved like what it stood for. But recently, I'll get questions from like white customers saying like, is it okay? And I think after the whole George Floyd thing, is it okay for me to wear it? Am I appropriating?
Right.
And I was like, no, babe.
No, girl.
No, you're not. You're just, because you're buying it.
You're supporting.
Exactly. Right? I'm African. I created this. And it's a reflection of my culture, but you are supporting it. You love it. Girl, wear it.
Wear it.
Yeah. So, yeah. So it's weird. Like, I get, flack for doing this, and, other people like, can they really wear it? I'm like, yes, you can wear it.
Have you ever been told that your brand is not African enough?
Yes.
Really?
I have, especially now, because like, this jacket is not African enough because I'm not maybe using African prints as much.
Or like stereotypical African prints.
Exactly.
It's not cookie cutter.
It's not cookie cutter. But it's so interesting because I think like during the Black Lives Matter movement, there was so much emphasis on a lot of Black-owned brands. And through that, a lot of these brands, a couple of them that people thought were Black-owned, were not.
Right.
Right? But they, from the outside, you'd think they were, because they were doing African prints, but like there was one in Ghana that actually just shut down that, was owned by these two British women who moved to Ghana and do it. And it was a huge success, right? And then another one, but I'm like, that doesn't even matter to me. Yeah, so sometimes I get that it's not African, but I'm like, tell me, what's African?
You tell me.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was an African designer,
Hello.
but this isn't African.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I just get all of these, but I stay in my lane. I know what I love. I know, like for me, it's designing, especially I'm pivoting to really focus on special occasion wear. And because a lot of women were buying my pieces to go to weddings, mother of the bride, wedding guests. So I was like, let me focus on this, new like industry for me. And it's about, because my designs are very timeless in terms of the cut, right? But it's through the fabrication, it's through the prints. And now I design my own prints. So my whole thing is telling African stories through my fashion, right? And bringing, like I said, like artisanal techniques, to the US. For example, this, I don't know if you can see.
Oh.
The lining is made by, I partnered with a company called Refugee in Kenya that supports refugee women by giving them jobs. So they designed this lining for me. So it's like, there's so much thought and a lot of detail and work in my work.
Yeah. Okay. So you have been living in the US for a while, but you still have connections back home. What kind of misconceptions do you think people have towards living here, having a brand, being in fashion?
Yes.
And how do you kind of deal with those?
I think, from like the people living on the continent looking at me here, right? They think it's easy, one, because I have access, right?
You're
but
here.
I'm here, I'm on the ground. And in a way I do, but again, like I said, all these challenges that I've had, right? But then on the flip side, I feel, and I think sometimes, because sometimes I don't say it enough, I need to market it better, that my pieces are made in Africa, So, and sometimes saying that in the US market is, people think it's not as good, right?
Really?
Yeah, because a lot of, when people say made in Africa, they think of, I don't know why, right? I mean, things in
That's so
China are made. Hello.
I'm sure that's tied to the still like disgusting stereotypes about Africans and about what we make, even though you can see the
Exactly.
garments for the way they are.
Exactly. And that's why I'm just like, it's my mission to really, show that things made in Africa can be luxurious, can be beautiful. Like customers who bought my pieces 10 years ago still wear it today. That is a testament to the quality.
Absolutely.
Right? Not like something you buy on Shein, you wear it once and it completely falls
Falling
apart.
off the seams.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's not sustainable, right?
Yes.
So like that is like my goal in life, when people like look at my pieces, not to be shocked that it was made in Kenya, right? Because I want people to see that quality, beautiful garments can be made on the continent. So that's kind of my mission. So it's, and I think it's, actually, I don't really know why. I think because they still think of Africa as like a third world. We're living, in trees, and people still cannot like reconcile in their minds what Africa is.
Right, the reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you guys are crazy.
Crazy. And so ignorant, because if something was handcrafted in Italy, you would say, oh, it's the best of the best.
Exactly.
But you hear handcrafted in Kenya and you go,
right.
bastards.
I know. It's so annoying. So constantly I have to like, you know. And it's also crazy because a lot of things are made in Africa. People just don't
Yes.
look at their labels, or they just
No.
don't pay attention. Like in Kenya, especially, they manufacture for a lot of denim brands. A lot of things are being made in Ethiopia because they have like leather, and they've just, you know, so like Tunisia, Morocco, you know, Egyptian cotton. Hello.
Like, what are y'all not listen? What are you not hearing? The whole
Yes.
thing about how a lot of Nigerian leather is then brought to Italy, and how they've been
Exactly.
and I mean, it's so much of it. What I've learned being here is so much of it is by design.
It is.
The countries where they're the most ignorant about Africa, their leaders are doing nonsense in Africa.
Hello.
And so we're going to tell you
Hello.
that they're just flies and mud huts over there, because if you knew different, you'd see how badly they were treating us and how they're interfering with what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
But also, it's 2026. You know what I mean? You have access to the same information on the internet that I do. You just sound ignorant.
Right. And I just don't have patience for that because, like you said, it's 2026. Google,
Google.
you know,
Read a
like,
book.
Seriously, it's like you. And that's why even back when I moved, I've been here, oh Lord, over 30 years. And, you know, those crazy questions of like, how did you learn English? I'm like, in school. Where did you learn English?
Where did you learn English?
You know, like, how did you come here? I'm like, on a fucking plane? Like, you know, like, I would get so upset when I got these stupid questions. Now I'm just like, I don't even answer them. I'm like, I don't know. I just, go educate yourself. Go educate yourself. So.
But I mean, you are a walking testament to how amazing Africa is.
Thank you.
I mean,
you.
and the fact that, this jacket, if you're only listening, girl, go onto youtube.com and see this jacket. You have been so kind to me. You have been so amazing to me. You've gifted me some of your products, some of your designs, and I get complimented constantly, the way that they fit me, everything
Thank
about
you.
your designs make me proud to be an African woman.
Oh my God.
100%.
Thank
It's all
you
part
so
of
much.
it's all part of the experience.
Thank you.
I've become more, I mean, in South Africa they didn't really teach us about other Africans.
That's right.
And so now that I'm here and with the work that I do with OK Africa and with getting to meet so many different African people, I'm like, wait, this whole time,
Oh my gosh.
all the
that's
different
right.
African experiences really and truly have helped me and encouraged me to love my Africanness
I love
way
that.
more.
I love that. And you know, like every African always has this, you know, African
Yep.
like ring or necklace.
I have
This
this
is-
tattoo.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
The only continent. You don't see people from Europe having a Euro.
What does Europe even look like,
I know.
actually? Just
Or Australia, or even the US. Like the only continent. How proud are we that we want to let everyone know? You know, we're from this amazing continent, right? So it's really like, I want to see a time, hopefully soon, where we really, I mean, we don't need anyone else. I've always said Africans for Africa. Everyone else can, you know, can
Yeah.
just go, right? Because we have the resources, we have the talent, right? We have the youth who they want more and they're asking for more, right? Demanding more. So we're so, like, I'm so proud to be African, right? And every single moment I get to like shout it from the rooftops, I'm Congo, even till today, yes, I have an American passport. So that's just because I've been here that long. But I speak Lingala, you know, I speak Swahili, I speak my native tongue, right? And that's really, and people are always shocked at that, but that's thanks to my father, who was a linguist, who made sure that we were so proud to be Congolese, you know, because we lived outside of Congo. Like, we ate the food, we listened to the music. Like, he made us proud to be Congolese, you know, wherever we went. And that's within me, and I'm never going to forget where I'm from. And, you know, I'm just so proud.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, my final question for you, madame. With all of this, under all of this,
Yes.
what has your experience as an ambitious young beautiful Black African woman in a world where we're not encouraged, or we're often told to not be as ambitious, or having these closed doors is not just because the door's closed, it's because someone has closed it.
Exactly.
And so what is the experience being ambitious and successful and Black been like?
Oh my gosh. I mean, for me internally, it's been amazing. Right? I mean, I love, like, being an entrepreneur is not for the faint of heart, right? It's like, first of all, I'm the only entrepreneur in my family. So my family, they don't even understand me. They're like, what is this girl doing, right? But I'm just like these, and I don't know where, actually, I was about to say, I don't know where I get this hunger and ambition to be successful. Actually, I get it from my father, right? He wasn't an entrepreneur, but he came from walking barefoot to school, to becoming a diplomat, an author, a linguist, PhD educated. So he was relentless in the pursuit of education and excellence, right? So I think that's where I get it. And I feel so blessed to just have this passion to every day I wake up and I'm like, this is an entrepreneur's life. I'm going to go for it 1,000%. And I haven't even started, I feel. I feel like I have so much to accomplish. I have major goals. I want to build a multi-million-dollar business, right? And I'm not even, so I'm so hungry and ambitious, and also because building a multi-million-dollar business will make a crazy impact, right? Now I've worked with 100, 1,000, tens of thousands of women that I can impact through my business.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So I'm blessed to have known kind of early on what my calling was, and it's taken me such a long time, but I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm still doing it, right? So it's just been as many challenges that I've had to overcome. It's been amazing. But being a Black ambitious woman in the world is not easy because, people, either men, they just don't know what to do with that. Right?
Yeah.
They're just like, they're scared of ambition, or at least a lot of the men I've met, they don't understand it. Like, why? Why don't you just stay at home?
Right. Why don't you want to just clean my underwear and cook for me?
Exactly, so that has always been a challenge, but I'm like, this is my path, this is who I am, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
And also, I'm learning slowly but surely that there are a few who do want to have a partner who's going to grow and build with them.
Exactly.
We just haven't met them yet.
Exactly. But I'm going to meet him.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, this year.
Yes, girl. Yes. And we're going to come back to this.
Yes. Because, my husband is out there. He just has to find me.
He has to find you.
Hello.
Period. Wait, so do you date Africans here or African Americans or other people?
So I've mostly dated Africans.
Okay.
Mostly Nigerians.
Interesting. Well, and I'm not saying this to be rude, but Nigerians are everywhere.
Everywhere. But, I'm like, I'm not discriminating.
No, ma'am.
So now I'm like, please.
Look how cute.
Come and find me.
Look how beautiful.
I'm open. I'm open to any race. So my husband, please find me soon.
Quickly. Not too quick. Make sure that you're healed and whole and...
Oh my goodness. Please go to therapy.
Please.
I'm in therapy, so hello.
Me too, yeah. Yay. See? Honestly, the whole journey, that's self-care.
It is. It truly is. And there's like I've had so much trauma in my life, and it's because of Jesus Christ and therapy that I'm here today, right? That I'm like able to overcome things and just see the goodness literally of the Lord and just the grace, right? So, but therapy has literally changed my life.
Uh, and I'm so happy you're open to it too, because
Yes.
as Africans, we know that talking about your
Oh my
emotions, talking about your
gosh.
well-being is so taboo
Yeah, you're
or
not
a waste
allowed
of
to
time.
say it outside of your home. I'm like, yeah, but this person, you need that
Yes,
because you need a third party who's not,
exactly.
like you're not attached to give you the real and to give you advice and to just even listen to you, right? So,
And so many Africans are traumatized.
oh my gosh.
So much has happened on the ground, and we
Right.
don't, and honestly, it's a generational
It
thing.
is.
And I think that so many, not necessarily leadership, because they're just insane and greedy, the way that insane, greedy leaders are all over the world.
Exactly.
But so many of our problems, I think, are because there's been so much generational trauma. And now I feel like our generations and even the
Exactly.
younger ones are like, hey, I can talk about this and move on from it and then be a better
Exactly.
person and be
Exactly.
better to the people around me.
Exactly.
So shout out to us
Hi.
for being the change we want to see in the world.
Exactly. Therapy.
Therapy, and also having, I mean, being a woman,
Oh my
being a
God.
black woman.
Hello.
Can we get into
Oh
it?
my God.
Being a
Hello.
black woman, as much as, and we are gonna wrap up soon, but just because this is so yummy. As much as I do seek a romantic partner, I feel like the advice and the companionship that I get from women is very different to what I would get
Oh
from a
my
man. And
gosh.
that's why I feel like I'm as picky as I am.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
it's like I could just hang out with my girlfriends and feel so much better. My
Exactly.
girlfriends buy me flowers.
Hello.
My girlfriends will do surprise things for me.
Exactly. They treat you, so well that you're like, this is how.
This is how,
More than this.
they've set
That
the standard.
exactly. So please do not lower your standards, my
No,
ladies.
no.
You have to because you're so right. Like I have a very tight knit set of friends, and they've seen me through the worst, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But they're supportive. They're always there for me, and when I was younger, I thought I needed to have like 1,000,001 friends. And as you get older, you're like, actually, no, these 5 friends are fine. And actually, most of my friends are not even here in New York, right? And that used to bother me a lot. And I was like, no, it's fine because I see them, we go on our trips and I talk to them. So, yeah, so surround yourself with like good female friends. Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
A world of a difference.
Absolutely.
Love to be a woman.
Yes.
Okay, Kahindo, what are you
Yes.
excited about moving forward?
Oh my gosh, so much. I'm working on like a new collection. Yes. So, of like a crochet collection.
For the
Yes.
summer?
For next summer. Yes.
Girl.
Yes, I'm working on that. I'm just, I come up with new collections twice a year. So I'm excited about that. Fall coming up, so I'm gonna send it to you so you can help me select which styles I should actually produce.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm just excited to grow my brand, make an impact. Yeah, that's all I'm working on.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I started it this way, but I absolutely adore you.
Thank you.
I think you are such a beautiful person. I think you're an
thank you.
incredible designer.
Thank you.
I love what you make. I love how connected you still are to the continent. And I'm so, so excited to see you continue to grow because really and truly, the world is your oyster.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I will do my part to make sure that as many eyes get on your designs because y'all need to get into this.
Hello.
And you're supporting women in Africa.
Exactly.
Come on.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers. Ah.